I'd like you all, in response to this bracing presentation, to step up and be prepared to ask questions. I'm going to propose the first one, and then I'm going to need somebody to jump in right behind me. Starting with Mark, what is your reaction to Judy's proposal on simplification of the Savers Credit? Not speaking for the administration, but just your gut reaction as a policy.
Well, Congressman, I think it's terrific. And I would add more supporting information to the effect that what Judy outlined is very, very much like the original proposal for the Savers Credit. It was developed to do exactly what Judy described for exactly the reasons she described, to be a government matching contribution that's operating in a way similar to employer matching contributions, if possible, goes into the account in which the person saves so that the match itself gets saved to the extent that's administratively feasible in 401ks. To the extent it's not, let's work on getting it to be administratively feasible, and in the meanwhile, deposit it in IRAs. It was intended to be and proposed as a 50% across-the-board credit, reaching much more into the middle class, as Judy has described, than the way it came out. It was cut down very much in the legislative process. The reason it's complex was basically to save money for other priorities, and that's why the credit rate was cut from 50% to really effectively, for the vast majority of those who are eligible, to just 10%, a drastic cut. And it, even so, with all these obstacles, is still being used by about 7 million people a year. So if we did what Judy's describing and what was originally proposed in the year 2000, before it was enacted in a much truncated form in 2001, we could be getting tens of millions of people into this, including people who pay FICA, but not income tax, who would get a refundable credit deposited into their 401k or IRA.
Other reactions from the panel?
I love it. I think it's a really important way. If what we want to do is have people build nest eggs, you heard it from the first panel, our incentives are backwards and upside down. This really helps to alleviate that by making the people for whom it's the hardest to save get some benefit for making that deferral. I also think it fits incredibly well with what we're trying to do in the states, because in order for many of the state plans to operate with outside of ERISA, they are not allowing employers to offer a contribution or a match. So this, again, allows the workers who do save that added bump that goes right into the account, helps build up those assets over time. So I think it's an incredibly powerful proposal.
Jamie.
And small businesses like it too, because small businesses' cash flows are unpredictable. They like the idea of being able to offer an incentive, but not necessarily having to fund it directly from themselves. They're going to fund it through their own tax contributions that offset. But it is it allows them to have an incentive for low to moderate income families. It does work across all these ideas that we're talking about. It's very
One last thing, Mark.
Congressman, I would just add there's great synergy between what Judy described, this expansion of the Savers Credit, and some of the other things we've been talking about. If you automatically enroll people into IRAs, whether at the federal level or through a state proposal, they'll get this tax credit. So since the automatic enrollment in IRAs is supposed to be targeted at employers who are not willing to sponsor a plan and therefore who won't have any employer match, you've got a government match that steps in lieu of an employer match till we can get that employer to adopt a real plan and step up to that. The other thing I would note is that the fact that we've got a Savers Credit at all in the law today for the 7 million or so people who have been claiming it
Yes.
should be credited to Chairman Roth, Chairman Baucus, who was ranking,
Yes.
and Bill Sweetnam, who is here today and whom many of us honored yesterday in honor of his impending retirement, which we hope will be relatively temporary, Bill. And Bill was Chairman Roth's right-hand person, and Maria Fries was Senator Baucus's and Chairman Baucus's right-hand person in getting the Savers credit done. And so we're hoping that we'll have, similarly great support and leadership to get it expanded as Judy's described.